bunka, bunka. This would have been some sort of amazing structure. Guys, there's a tunnel. I wonder what would have been down here.
Today, we're exploring Pergamon, one of the most least toured spots in Western Turkey, and honestly, one of the coolest ancient cities I've stepped foot in. This place had it all: lost power, ridiculous wealth, a next-level library, and an amphitheater so steep, it's basically a vertical drop. And if that wasn't enough, we're also checking out some temples today, built by two of the most iconic Roman emperors, Trajan and Hadrien.
Look how high that is.
Let's explore off the beaten path today.
Pergamon is built on a volcano, and it was a city for about 2,000 years that we know of. Could have been longer. Now, Pergamon, this is where all of the aristocrats lived, which is why we see the fancy people graves. Plebeians would live on the plains, unless there was baddies attacking. If there was baddies attacking, everyone would run up the hill and be safe up here. So the first writings we have of it are from around 1400 BC. And a dude from Greece went all the way over to Persia, did some attacking, and then he wrote of his journal, basically his journey back into Greece after he and his men finished. And this was already a city by then. Whenever the Greeks were around here, they built up what we see today. Of course, because the Greeks were here, we had a massive altar to Zeus just towering over the town. Except there's one problem. Zeus is missing. Bum bum. Now this is the first altar that we know that was built to Zeus. And as you can see, it was missing. There was a road being built, and so the Ottomans hired some German engineers to build a road from here over there. And whenever the engineer was building the road, he found remnants of an old statue. And of course, the Ottoman Empire didn't care about old history like we do now. So the German called his German archaeologist friend and said, "Hey, I found some archaeology, do you want it?" And the dude said, "Yes." So they got a bunch of horses up here, they carried it down the hill, boom, 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 boom. And now it's in the Pergamon Museum in Germany. And it'd be pretty cool if they could give it back, because all we have right now is this tree. Give it back. Thank you.
Okay, Zeus missing kinda sucks. I mean, just look how cool it is in the museum on this picture I found on the internet. But Karma's kind of a bitch. After Alexander the Great wrapped up his world domination tour and then, well, died, his empire fractured. Ptolemy took the southern and western half, while the other dude, whose name I cannot pronounce, grabbed the eastern and northern half. And here's where it gets interesting, because all of the loot from the massive raids in the east was allegedly hidden right here in Pergamon. And that's billions in today's money, just chilling under the city, fueling its rise as a major post-Alexandrian powerhouse. With all of that wealth, Pergamon thrived, booming economy, major trade routes, but then, in 133 BCE, Pergamon's fate took a wild turn. Instead of fighting Rome, King Attalus III just gave it away. Yep, he handed his kingdom over to the Romans in his will. It turns out that Attalus was more into reading books, studying science, and vibing with nature than just ruling the city. So instead of watching his kingdom get steamrolled and pillaged and murdered by Rome, he just gifted it to them. Naturally, the locals were furious. Who just surrenders to Rome without a fight? But honestly, if you ask me, it was a genius move. Attalus probably saved thousands of lives by avoiding war. And let's be real, Rome was coming one way or another. Might as well just hand them the keys to the city instead of watching your city burn.
Now look at this crazy steep slope that we're on. The Greeks would just build where there was a slope. And if the slope was steep, they'd make it work. Which I find fascinating with the engineering that they did from Pythagoras and all of those guys. All of these right angles and these hand-carved rocks and pulleys to bring the rocks up from the mountain, up from the rock mines down there, all the way up here. And we're walking to the steepest theater that we have in Anatolia. Maybe this is where Greek tragedy was developed. This is insane. It's 55% incline, so good luck with that. So like all Greek theaters, there's a temple to Dionysus over here. Now, he was the god, she, they, pronoun official. They were the god of dance and of drinking. Basically, you would get drunk and go perform on this stage. And when the Romans were here, they realized that they could not put up a background behind this beautiful thing because it'd block access to the, whoa, you can't see me. It'd block access to the temple. And you can't anger the god of wine because he may then turn off the grapes in the vineyards, and that would suck. So they engineered all of these holes to build a portable theater, a portable wall. So whenever the Romans were here, they would just bring up the walls, put some wooden posts in there, put up a background, and then you would just listen to your Roman play. But the Greeks didn't need that. They watched mommy nature. Oh. This is when I wished I had longer legs. As long as you don't look behind you, it's okay. But if you turn around, you definitely notice the 55% incline. Okay, let's go into the single file tunnel. We're going in the tunnel.
This tunnel was the actual entryway into the theater.
This is incredible engineering. They would have to carve out this mountain, put in some stairs.
At the top of the theater sat the temple to Athena, the oldest part of Pergamon.
This was built in the 5th century BC. This is the temple to Athena. And the thing I find fascinating about this is that we can still find original carvings from her temple. Now the city's super cool because there's a bunch of different ancient gods that were celebrated here. So unlike Athens, that was really built around just Athena, we have a temple to Dionysus, we have a temple to Athena, we got one to Zeus, and we have some to some other gods. We see ancient writings. So long before the city was created, like the first thing that was constructed here on this hilltop of this dormant volcano was this massive temple to Pretty Lady, the god of war and the god of peace. Check out these old column thingies over here. So archaeologists are still uncovering, digging up old treasures. And we can see here how they're starting to place them together. And just look at how ingenious this was. This is where the pieces would fit together. So you'd have a piece, the male piece would fit inside this female hole, and it would hold these pillars together. Maybe not so well because they rumbled to the ground, but pretty well. So this whole palace would be marble lined. It'd shine bright. So if you were in the town, you would see this glowing white beacon of light, shining bright like a diamond in the sky. So shine bright, Athena. Now, because we're at the top of a mountain, there's no way to get water in here. So they would collect water down this hallway in these cisterns. And it's still working today. Look at all this water. So this would just be puddles and pools full of water. And you can still see some images of the snake egg and of the grapes over here. Wow, this is incredible. Look how thick these walls are. It's like 1.5 meters thick. The city would stay protected both from baddies and also from the wind. If you're able to protect, oh, now it's nice. It's pretty windy outside the city walls, but in here it's actually quite pleasant. Just look at all of this city, just rocked to the ground from an earthquake and the love of Mother Nature. Rock the cradle of love. Rock the cradle of love. The cradle of love. Ooh, look, a little guard post up here. Check out in front of us. We have a massive structure constructed from the Emperor Trajan. So he was the guy who wanted to expand the Roman Empire. And he even came up and was one of the first Roman emperors who expanded up into the UK. Look at this marble. Wow. Now, under Trajan's rule, he expanded the Roman Empire to the max, stretching from the Caspian Sea to North Africa, all the way up to Scotland. It was a massive empire. And so that's why we have a temple to him here. See, there was a city in every Roman Empire thing that was given the honor to celebrate a Roman emperor one a year. And so this city won the right to celebrate Trajan. The city would not pay taxes if they built the temple to it for that year. So that's why we have this huge structure. Okay, let's go check out some of this marble work that was constructed to commemorate the dude that grew the biggest empire. So this structure actually doesn't belong here. It belongs on some pillars, but the pillars are too weak now to hold it. Isn't that awesome engineering? We're standing on top of a roof right now. Maybe I should get off the roof. Okay. Oh, there's more marble over here. Let's go check this marble out. Look at all of this. Just crumbled. You know, whenever the Roman Empire fell and a lot of the structures were demanded to be destroyed by the Christian religions, structures to pagan gods and pagan leaders. This is probably one of them that may have actually had some man-made destruction from it. But we can still see how intricate, like how deep that is. Like this is, yeah, it's hard stone, but like that's incredible. Okay, we're now entering the second biggest library of the ancient world. This is a Pergamon library. Now at its peak, it held over 200,000 scrolls of papyrus. On the walls, there was inscriptions written, and here we can see an original Greek Pergamon, still written today. Well, what happened to this library? Well, whenever Julius Caesar was in Alexandria, you know, he got a little bit jealous of the library they had down there. And lore has it that he may have burnt some of it down. He also may have stolen some of the books to take with him. Well, after that burnt down, Pergamon was the second biggest library in the world, and it became the biggest one. So here is where scholars would write books. They would study, they would read other people's novels and books. And all today we just see is like rubble and all of these stones left from scholars of the past. Now the thing that makes this library super cool is that the use of double-sided paper was actually advertised here and exported. Now around this whole area, like parchment was like the #1 thing, but parchment came from Egypt, from papyrus, and you could only write on one side of it. Well, parchment's only native to Egypt, and it grows along the coast of the Nile River. Up here, what do they have? Animals. So they would take the skin of an animal. Oh, look at this. We'll get back to that story. We can still see original carvings from the original library. And we see some inscriptions down here on below. Maybe it was an ancient scholar or someone, their name was just engraved there, that studied here for all of their life. So the skins, the animal skins would be used, and what scholars realized is that they could write both on the front side and on the back side. And then they figured that if they could take the export business of papyrus out of Egypt and distribute them out there, they would gain dominance over the marketplace and thus create a monopoly. And that's what they did. That's why today we have double-sided paper, and why we don't have the library anymore. Okay, we're not done yet. There's one more thing that I want to show you guys, and it's from my favorite emperor that we have in the history of the Roman Empire. Let's go see some more about Mr. Hadrien. Okay, to end this amazing journey in Pergamon, we're now entering the Red Basilica of Hadrian. Now, Hadrian was the emperor that came after Trajan. And Trajan expanded the empire so much. And whenever Hadrian came into rule, into town, he was like, hey, we have so many different cultures, different nationalities here. We need to unify and secure our kingdom. Otherwise, it's gonna fall apart. And so what he did here, he built a temple so people worshiping Egyptian gods could worship the Egyptian gods. And here we see a reconstruction of one of the gods that we found. Now we can tell it's a reconstruction because all we found was the face and the arms of him. And the rest has been reconstructed in marble. But here along the side, we see other Egyptian gods that would have been worshipped here. Down here, there would have been flowing water. So the people worshiping the pagan Egyptian gods would have had a place to worship. Now, the other really cool thing about Hadrian is that he was the emperor who encouraged and actually mandated mixed marriages. So he wanted the cultures to integrate, to secure the kingdom. So for the 21 years that he ruled, he made sure that people just didn't marry with their culture. They married across cultures. So let's go check out one of these rooms that he built. We see one of the arms that was found from the Egyptian gods. And down here, you would probably walk in and do some sort of rituals and prayers. And here we see all sorts of relics that the archaeologists are still working on putting back together. Hands and feet and eyes and ears and toes of the Egyptian gods. Wow. Can you see that? I hope you can see that. Look at all of those feet and hands. All of these structures would have lined the top of the ceiling up here. In this whole area right now. Right now we have it in brick, but it would have been covered in marble. And we can see the plating that it would have had. Like marble is super abundant in this area. But like now, it's kind of rare. So if you wouldn't build the entire structure in marble, you would just plate it with marble on the outside. And here we can see kind of how it would have looked like. Some of the marble plating, what it's called the red church today because of the red brick that we currently see here. Just imagine how this would have been at its peak. Hadrian was a really, really cool guy. As you probably know if you watch my channel, he was a guy who built the wall up north in northern England to cut off the Picts, the evil and dangerous Scottish tribe, and to just set the boundary between Scotland and the rest of the Roman Empire. He thought that was enough. Let's just secure the kingdom here. So then after Hadrian fell, after he died, and as the Roman Empire started to dissolve, and as paganism started to become unpopular, what happened was that Christianity came in. So this entire structure was changed from a pagan Egyptian temple into a Christian basilica. And instead of tearing it down, what they did was just build something inside. So these brown walls inside that we see here, this is all what used to house the basilica for the Christian church. And the Egyptian days outside here, there would have been gods in these windows. There would have been light flowing in. There probably would have been some statue of God Ra sitting in one of these corners, maybe in the center of this entire temple. But when the Christians were here, this is where they would have turned it in to the altar and to the baptismal. There would have been mosaics lining the floor here, where we see reconstructed red brick. So what was once used for pagan sacrifices and worshiping was done. Whoa, what happened? So what we see that was used for pagan sacrifices was turned into a religious center to celebrate some Christian religion, which we can see over here. Up here we can see some of the original marble still standing. And this would have been some huge altar, maybe Ra, maybe another god. After Christianity dissolved and after Islam started to become the main religion, the Ottomans bringing it in, they turned this entire place into a mosque. So this has really been the religious center for 3 different religions over the last 1,000, 2,000 years. This is incredible. Okay, let's go explore down here. Okay. Bunka, bunka, bunka. This would have been some sort of amazing structure. Dude. Bunka, bunka, bunka. Guys, there's a tunnel. Where does it go? Wow. And now we've reached the end of a tunnel. What? I wonder what would have been down here. I don't know if I'm supposed to be here, but there wasn't a sign. So, let's go walk on the other side of what would have been the basilica. Underneath, there's just like another structure. Maybe it's water. Maybe it's something that the people celebrating the Egyptian gods would have used for rituals or for sacrifice. I like that they've reconstructed this marble floor. Marble. Yay. All of these pillars would have just stood straight up, and we can see they've been knocked over, down over here. Oh, look what this. Cuckoo. We found a hole. Let's go see what's inside. What's inside? Hi. Hi. What is that, guys? Maybe a structure to give some offerings or something. Over here, we have even more pools. Oh, this would have been incredible to see in its height. See, Hadrien had so much good that he did for the Roman Empire. Unfortunately, though, you either loved him or you hated him. Probably some water stuff here. It's like, that's a little water thingy. So people that loved Hadrien understood that he just wanted to secure the Roman Empire, and he wanted to protect what they had conquered. He wanted to protect the legacy of Trajan. People who hated him thought that he liked the Greeks too much and was too much into Greek stuff. So they just made fun of him. Oh, look at this. We can see some statue that they found. Maybe of Hadrien, maybe of an Egyptian god, maybe of something else. In front of us, we see some Hebrew. I don't really know why we see Hebrew, but we do. Okay, cool. Inside here is a mosque that's been in operation since the Ottomans were here, because Islam is still the religion of... Oh, we've reached a dead end. Okay. And because Islam is still the religion currently of Anatolia, it currently still is a mosque. This would have been some incredible area. Look at this. We can see some old Arabic script, and we see the rooster, which is a symbol in this area. We also see Hebrew down here. I don't understand that. Well, that's unexpected. I love unexpected things. And, you know, after I've been a religious center for so many different religions, for the Egyptians, the pagan worship that was still around during the Roman Empire, and then the Christians, and now Islam, there were parts that were just torn down because they weren't needed anymore. And archaeologists have found all sorts of remnants, and they're working on putting them back together. But it's really hard. to understand exactly, what this structure was. Just the detail of all of this marble. Like, you can tell the roof is gone, all of this stuff is gone, but this would have been a massive structure. Hadrien probably inspired by Karnak, massive temple that we visited in Luxor. As he built this one, he wanted to give people something they would connect with. And with that, I think it's time, as we stand in front of this beautiful reconstruction of this Egyptian god, there he is in my camera, that we sign off. So thanks so much for coming with me on my journey to Pergamon today. This is one of the least traveled places in all of Western Turkey, so I highly recommend that you come and explore it. There's so much rich culture and history here. Talking about gods from long ago, emperors from long ago, the biggest religions that we've had in the world, the biggest empire. Keep exploring. See you next time. Ciao.